Let's do a little quick review. We have seen firsthand how powerful a spear phishing campaign can be when you send it out to targeted people that you know use a certain social network, that you believe use a certain bank, that may be users of your email system within your organization, or people who just log into Gmail. Gmail, thank goodness, will at least ask you your username on one screen and your password on another. That makes it much safer than having the username and password, the login and password, all on a single screen. But there are lots of systems out there. Most banks, most social media sites still give you the username and password in a single page, and it makes it susceptible to this type of email credential harvesting that we just saw. So quick recap, phishing is the #1 attack vector when it comes to social engineering online. Pretexting, pretending to have that email come from Facebook, baiting, and we could put something in that email that says, Bryson, there are embarrassing pictures of you up at Facebook, or it looks like your account has been hacked from an address that looks like it's coming from China, and put an odd address in there. Whatever it may be that will bait the users. Quid pro quo, one recent scam that's been going out as a phishing email is the ability to set up a verified social user account, like the real Donald Trump at Twitter, right? A verified social media account sounds like a really good thing to have, so I could have the real Bryson Payne on Twitter. But when you click through, you have to be really careful. Go directly to the website, and that's a better way to avoid being taken by these click-through links. We didn't use tailgating in this particular instance, and we didn't make use of vishing or smishing. We didn't send a voicemail or make a phone call. We didn't send a text message with the link, but it's just as easy to take this link, turn it into a text message, and send it to someone on an Android device, the same way we just saw how to do it on a Kali Linux device. And finally, we learned the power of spear phishing. That's when we take a targeted approach at getting someone in our social network, in our organization. So someone might send an email to your CEO, to your finance officer, to your chief business officer, to your HR director. And once you get one of those sets of username and password combinations, you can do some really bad things over the internet. You could log in as the boss and send an email to all employees that they're fired, or send an employee to the chief business officer or to the treasurer of the organization and say that you need some money transferred to a certain account to keep one of your customers. There are all kinds of bad things that can happen to your organization if your employees fall for spear phishing. There are lots of bad things that can happen to your family if one of your older parents, or if you have young children going online. Predators, con artists, scammers are all out there on the internet using techniques like these. It costs nothing to send thousands of emails, and all it takes is one person clicking through. But unfortunately, we see that even in the best trained organizations, as many as 5% of people will click through and provide their credentials. In an organization with no training, that number is significantly higher, about 5 times higher, 23% on average, according to one Verizon study. So spear phishing, again, was just a focused email attack. And we saw how to craft one of those by using the Social Engineers Toolkit to create a web server that looks just like Facebook or Twitter or your bank or your email login at work. We set up a server running locally that was a credential harvester site that looks exactly like the Facebook.com login site, but it's running on our local Kali address. Mine was 10.0.9.4. And we saw using the IP address converter that we could change that 10.0.9.4 to a 167.774.468 address. And then we could craft a URL that looked exactly like http://www.facebook.com at 167.774.468. And that @ symbol, remember, converted that first part into a username. And if I copy that and paste it over into my Firefox browser, it will pop up a warning. If I copy that and paste it over into any of my web browsers as that longer address, it'll resolve to our 10.0.9.4 address, but most people don't look up in the address bar as often as we should. So this number that 167, 774, 468 resolves to that 10.0.9.4 address and takes people unwittingly to our internal phishing server. And you will only be able to do this attack from a local area network that allows people to surf to that 10.0.9.4 address. So you can do it safely from your computer, from one IP address or one virtual machine to the other, like from your Windows box or your Android box to this Kali Linux server. But you won't be able to send somebody on the public internet, somebody on a different network, at a different school, at a different organization, because thank goodness we're blocked by our internet service provider from doing that. To do that, attackers will set up a full server running someplace on an IP address or get a dynamic IP address and then send out phishing emails like this in targeted attacks. But we are not bad attackers. We are ethical hackers. We will not send this outside our network anyway. And you only want to use this to do training inside your own network or to show your friends and family how easy it is to fall for an IP address that looks correct, but will take them to a phishing server. And the way we got people to click through to that phishing server was just by crafting an email using a real email from a social network and changing all of those URLs to our http://www.facebook.com @ and then our IP address of our Kali Linux box @ as a decimal integer. And we just had to do that for every single one of the links in this email so that it looked convincing, but it is devastating how powerful these spear phishing attacks are in an organization, to family, to friends. If you've got an older family member who's susceptible to scams, you need to show them that this is possible and tell them never to click through this link. They always need to type out www.facebook.com directly in their browser window to make sure that they get the right address. Don't click through any suspicious link ever in an email. We'll talk a little bit more about how to avoid, how to spot and stop phishing in the next lesson as a little bonus.